Alright, so we kind of started off looking into blue, and then we jumped into black when we saw, I believe it was the second flesh allergy, and then the grasp right after that. And we had picked up some Morioc replicas earlier, so I think we went into the right colors. We could have gone into red earlier, like right off of pack one, pick one, but you got to be careful jumping into colors right away, because, I mean, it would have paid off there, sure, but most of the time when you just jump into a color right away, a lot of the time you just won't get rewarded for it. Especially a color that's drafted as highly as red. You know, you see a pick one galvanic blast and you don't see any red the rest of the draft. So you've really got to be aware of what's actually coming to you so that you can build the most solid deck that you can. Let's go ahead and put these cards in here that we may play. We're not going to be playing any blue or white cards. We're not going to play Goblin Cavalier. Not going to play these lands. Not going to play Soliton. Not going to play those. So these, we'll go ahead and put Painsmith in there. So these cards, these Psychic Miasma, the Drawshopper, the Darksteel Mill, and Golden Urn are cards we could play, but I'm guessing they're just going to get cut first anyways. Alright, let's look at our deck. So, I'm aware that this Corpsecur and Necropede thing, if we're trying to burn them down life, these don't do anything besides, you know, just be kind of defensive. But the fact that we have 2 flesh allergies, I really like the grave digging ability of it. We don't have that many creatures either, so I mean, if we didn't have this little combo thing here, I don't even think I'd be playing the flesh allergies. And if that were the case, we'd be missing 5 cards out of our deck, and we'd be putting in some of these worse cards up here. So these 5 cards are for sure going to stay in the deck. The cards that I'm thinking about cutting are Painsmith, just because I think we need artifacts for these Chrome Steeds and the Bleak Coven Vampires and the Blade Tribe, and Painsmith does not do it for us. Painsmith wants artifacts himself, and I just don't think we can really afford it. The second card I'm considering is the Palladium Mirror. The thing about Palladium Mirrors, if we do have a bunch of top end in our hand, it's good at accelerating them out faster. The problem with him is he's fragile, and we kind of want artifacts that will stick. Like I was talking about earlier, opponents are almost never going to shatter a Necrogen Sensor, but they say a Palladium Mirror, and then you having like 2 red mana on the board, they're going to be afraid of Horde Smelter, a bomb like that, and they'll probably shatter it pretty quickly. So those are the 2 cards I'm looking at. I like this Fume Spitter because he's good fodder for Flesh Allergy, and he's aggressive. He's just a turn 1 drop, and maybe we can put a Darksteel Axe on him pretty quickly. Yeah. I think the Strider Harness could be good. Poison may be a win condition for us, but I doubt it. I mean, if we're just able to keep a completely open board with all this, I mean, we have some pretty heavy removal here and really good removal too. Like Flesh Allergies, I mean, they kill anything, and Tumble Magnetaps anything. Galvanic Blast, Arc Trails, Grasp are all some of the best removal in the format. And then we even have Fume Spitter for even earlier removal. So if we can get like a Corpsecur out on an open board with removal in hand and slap a Darksteel Axe on it, it's definitely possible that could be a win condition for us. So there's not a huge amount of decisions to make here. I think that I do want to... The thing is you want to be in Limited, you want to be building a deck, not just taking the best cards in the pack. So that's what we were doing that whole entire time before, was we were... I mean, sometimes there were better cards in the pack, but Like in our first picks, we were keeping our colors open because that's part of building, is you want to leave your options open. And you want to take the cards that are most synergistic with everything that you've already drafted. So that's why we picked up that Corpse Cur and the Necropedes with the Flesh Allergy. Like, that's synergy. Flesh Allergy is not good if you're running, 6 creatures in your deck and none of them are recurring, or anything like a Mirrorsmith that makes more creatures or something like that. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Our artifacts are a little bit short. But we don't have that much Metalcraft. We have a Bleak Coven, I guess 2 Chrome Steeds, and Blade Tribe. That's one of the only reasons I'm really considering keeping this Palladium Mirror, or even keeping the Darksteel Mirror over the Strider Harness. But I think that's okay. Let's go ahead and figure out our land base for this, because we have 4 minutes. So our red sources, I mean, most of our stuff is artifact. I'm definitely going to have at least 6 red and 11 black. I'm considering taking out another black for a red. No, I think 6 red's enough. Yeah, we'll hit our. I mean, these are all single red, and they're good. They're very good mid game. They're good early game if they slam stuff down on the board really quick, and they're still pretty good late game. So, Arc Trails and Galvanic Blast. I'm happy in any draft that I pick up 2 Arc Trails and a Galvanic Blast. Add those. I always save my drafts to come back and look at them and see if I would have made any changes. I think really reviewing your playstyle and how you drafted, and I think the decisions in this deck weren't too complicated, but sometimes it does get very complicated. And to discuss that, friends of yours and whatnot after you've drafted is a good idea to help you get better. So I always reload my decks in the deck editor and add cool looking lands, full arts, whatnot. So let's get our unhinged lands in there, get some foil full art lands in there, and get some cool mountains in there. Yeah, unhinged mountains. And foil full art mountains. Save. Go back to our deck builder and load it again. And now we have cool looking lands. Got our 6 mountains over here, and we got our 11 swamps here. I'll explain really quick how to do that with the minute 30 we have left. What you do is, once you've built your deck, you save it and you give it a name, and then you go over to your deck editor and you load the deck, and then you take out the old lands that were in there through the add land option in the deck builder, and you take those out and add in your own full art lands, and then you save it again. Then you go back over to the deck builder and you reload the deck that you just saved, and it should come up with the cool looking lands. A lot of people ask me how to do that. A guy taught me a while back, so figured I'd let you guys know. So yeah, I don't have any problem with our pool here. Yeah, the only thing that I'm really unsure about is this Palladium Mirror, because I think that the 2 mana may be very useful, especially since we have some equipment, and I just don't know how good Strider Harness is going to be. Yep, I'm gonna add Palladium Mirror in because I think we're short on creatures, and having 2 equipment seems like overkill. Let's go ahead and submit. That was a little scary. We lagged there with 15 seconds left and it wasn't clicking on the submit, so hopefully our deck went through.